hang on a second. When I get a prediction wrong, it is my fault, okay? This has happened consistently since we've been doing this ridiculous parlor game, okay? And it's consistently my fault. It is his fault. He got the prediction wrong. And not only did he get the prediction wrong, but he drags us over the coals when we get our predictions wrong by using all of his nonsense data, okay?
Hello, listeners, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 61 of Bad Voltage, which is, I'm sorry to say, the last show of 2019. But
it is, yeah.
My name's Jeremy. I have with me Jono and Ak, and while the last show of the year, I think a pretty entertaining show. Why is that?
Well, I don't know. We're going to do predictions, aren't we?
Predictions. Well, we're going to review predictions. Our actual predictions for the year of 2020 are not coming out until 2020. With the intention that hopefully I can get a prediction which happened in 2020 and has already happened by the time we do the show. So
a little foreshadowing into the hilarity that was Stuart Langridge's picks for 2019. Not sure he knew what he had a calendar posted on his wall and never removed it and made predictions from that year as opposed to 2019. But we'll get into that very shortly.
I'll tell you what it was.
But if you're a long-time listener to the show and are used to us squabbling over predictions, you will not be disappointed.
Yes, we're not great at predictions, but you'll see how we get on. There are some interesting things, so go and check it out. So shall we? Should we do it right now?
Yes. So Jeremy,
and now predictions from Bad Voltage.
A year ago, we looked into the crystal ball and predicted everything that we knew would happen in 2019. And regular listeners to the show will know that our track record on this is not stellar in the past.
It is not.
It is not. It is not at all.
Let's see if this time maybe we did a little better. So, should we start with Jono's predictions?
Yes, let's go through these. I mean, we might as well have a strong start.
Well, we shall see. But your first prediction, Mr. Bacon, was the following companies will IPO, right? Well, they'll announce an IPO. They don't actually have to have IPO'd this year.
Right.
The companies you named were Uber, Peloton, Lyft, Slack, and Cloudflare.
Yes.
And I think, to be honest with you, you got all of those, right?
So the only
mostly
thing he missed on was Uber being the largest IPO ever. It was nowhere even close.
But that was a bonus special extra prediction.
Slack and Cloudflare did all IPO. Yes.
Yeah, I'm prepared to give you the point for that.
Suspiciously close to a full point. I
Okay.
don't remember that being
a
bonus point. I think it was just part of your prediction, but given the rest of your predictions, I'm inclined to just give it to you.
I'm better to go. Okay, so there you go. That's a 100% prediction, mate. Thank you for listening to our prediction show. We'll see you in the new year.
You can find out more about my predictions at jonobuffett.com.
Okay, this is the part...
I'm going to be honest with you, by the way. I'm kind of surprised that actually happened. That was a bit of a Hail Mary in terms of randomly picking them, so I'm glad that at least something went well. Should we move on to the next one,
you did
go
well. This is the bit where the engine falls off the wing of the plane now at this point. So,
it's always good to start strong, so kudos there.
All right, so what's next?
Netflix will start selling films and programs for a one-off cost, so not part of your Netflix subscription. So you'll be able to just go and watch one film, pay one amount of money for it, and that's it. And
like
not
Amazon Prime. That was the example that I was preempting.
Have they done that, Jono?
Couldn't be more wrong, actually. Well, it could be more wrong. They could start selling like their existing content. That would be the opposite. But no, they're not doing that at all.
Unfortunately, I don't agree with you there. I think you could be more wrong because have they launched a streaming gaming service for Prediction 3?
That's actually a very good point. They have not. So, no.
Although when
Netflix,
you made that prediction, did you imagine that a year later Google would have announced Stadia?
So,
Just out of curiosity.
My-
Obviously, no
my-
points here. Don't even try to shill.
I
If
can
I-
see you shilling for a bonus point here for saying I meant a gaming service and I just got the company wrong. No,
I'm going to be honest with you. When I was reviewing these last night, I was starting to make my case for the Stadia argument, and I thought they are not even going to come close to buying that.
Not even within range, dude.
In a similar way that nobody's coming close to buying Stadia, from what I can tell. So, no, my thinking behind this was, PlayStation had their streaming gaming thing. Microsoft, I think, had announced back then that they were doing something. So I thought Netflix are going to want to diversify into different markets, but no, they haven't done that.
No.
And in fact, Disney Plus is changing a lot of things, as we talked about in the last show.
As talked about in the last show, yeah. I mean, it is. I think there's a reasonable case to be made that they could do it on the grounds that they've already got the streaming infrastructure and everything in place, which sounds hard. And then presumably all you have to do is, rather than plug a VHS thing into the far end of that cable, you just plug a PlayStation 3, right? How hard could it be? But they have
I hope
not
no
done
one
it.
from Google Stadia is listening to this. Well, they're probably too busy looking for other jobs. I don't know why I'm trolling the Stadia people so much. I don't mean any of this. I am, of course, meaning it all in jest.
On the
I was going
subject
to
of
make
kind
a
of
joke
like the
that
Google
their
Stadia
product people
service.
don't listen to anything, but you trumped me immediately on that one.
on the subject of people looking for other jobs, Jim Whitehurst will be announced as IBM CEO.
I like the way you're wiring all of these together.
Yeah, no, that was
that was the other one.
Segue. This is one that
Yeah.
honestly
So-
I wished would have happened, and I still think will happen. I've said all along, I'll kind of gauge the success of that acquisition on whether he ends up CEO or not. I think
Yes.
2019 was probably a little aggressive.
Yeah.
But 2020, 2021 certainly.
I think
Yeah.
this
he may
almost
have,
certainly happens.
I think he may have accurately plotted the course of the future, but yeah. This year was probably
Yeah.
a bit much to ask. IBM
I
being
think it was.
a famously fast-moving and nimble company, jump on that kind of thing really, really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that was frankly a little bit ludicrous to kind of predict that. But yeah, I mean, I also agree. I think he will at some point be CEO. I think everyone's kind of looking at him in IBM with a great degree of curiosity.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what is going to happen? Because he's such a talented guy. And we'll see what happens. So clearly wrong there. So that's one non so far.
Yeah. So Zuckerberg
What's
will no
next?
longer be Facebook's CEO, for which no points, and Sheryl
Yes.
Sandberg will be CEO of Facebook, for which no points.
points.
That's what we'll call a double no.
I am genuinely surprised by this because Facebook have been under an enormous amount of fire for lots of different reasons. Privacy, the Cambridge Analytica thing, all the rest of that.
Yep.
And I'm surprised that Zuckerberg, still has the appetite to do that, to stay in as CEO. You'd think that he'd be like, you know what, I'm going to take my massive bag of money and go and do something else and screw you all.
You're joking. I think the loathsome bastard is going to fight it out until the Allies arrive at the bunker. He's not leaving.
Well, I just think that I think you're right in some ways because, well, this is where I don't understand some people like him. Is for me personally, without turning this into a philosophical segment or segue, I enjoy what I do for a living, but I want to enjoy my life as well. And the work piece is one element of enjoying a life. And I'm surprised that he is, given the amount of grief that he's gotten, which is, I'm not saying it's not unwarranted grief. I'm surprised that he's enjoying this, and if he's not enjoying it, sticking with it. And also, Sheryl Sandberg, from what I can tell, is one of the most talented executives out there. So I'm surprised that he hasn't been pushed aside by the board. I'm surprised that he hasn't left himself. Yep. I'm just surprised.
I think his identity is pretty wrapped up in what Facebook is. I'm shocked that Sandberg is still there, which we'll get to in my prediction. I am shocked that she's not CEO.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
if we're looking for reasons why Zuckerberg should leave in addition to all the justified grief he's got. Final prediction, Facebook Spaces will continue to be a thing nobody cares about, for which I think you might get 2 points for the amount of care that has been lavished on
it. The thing is, Facebook Spaces will continue is full stop wrong, because as part of the Horizon launch, they end-of-life Spaces, and it shut down on October 25th. So not only will it not continue to be a thing no one cares about, it will just not continue to be a thing.
Listen, you tiny little pedant, okay? I didn't say Facebook Spaces will continue. I said it will continue to be a thing no one cares about. As in, no one cared about it, and they will continue not to care about it. Facebook Spaces doesn't have to exist. It's got nothing to do with that. So, yeah, you look here.
If you thought it was going away, you would have said that in the prediction.
Look, don't take my minuscule amount of glory away.
I was going to say, you have one shining point, so... I believe that's higher than in years past, so that's good.
I have 2 points. I was right about Facebook Spaces. I was right about the IPOs. So I have 2 points.
That's fair.
The second one, the spirit of the prediction is not that it would not be a thing anymore.
Ooh.
The spirit of the prediction is that no one will care about Facebook Spaces. That's
they
what I
cared about
said.
it enough to have meetings about it to kill it.
Oh,
I'm not talking about Facebook. I'm talking about the world.
He
is lawyering up for this one.
In our bald friend's defence, I think saying no one cares about Facebook Spaces is a bit iffy if your argument is Facebook cared about it, yeah, but the rest of the world
I'm just saying
didn't.
the spirit of his prediction, I think if he thought it was going to just get axed, it would have very much been Facebook kills Facebook Spaces.
Yeah,
That
but
wasn't the
that's
spirit
just
of
an
my
example
prediction.
of cowardice in predicting. That's not. It doesn't make his prediction wrong, I think.
My prediction, the spirit of my prediction was that the general world will not care about Facebook Spaces. Will continue not to care about it.
Hand on heart, I think since that prediction show, the first time the words Facebook Spaces have crossed my orbit in any way, reading news, hearing people talk about it, whatever, is right now in this show. It hasn't even been mentioned. It's like the deadest of dead products, even before it was killed.
Right.
So,
and this is, of course,
the
third great year of Facebook Spaces predictions.
No more Facebook Spaces predictions next year. So I
might have Facebook Spaces will continue to be a thing nobody cares about for my next prediction, because it's a solid one. So yeah, I think I get that one. Don't take this away from me, Jeremy.
Well,
I need it.
What do you think, Gak?
I think we'll give him 2 points for that, right?
Wow.
If for no other reason than we probably need to, there's an externality going on here, right? We need to bolster the show as a whole as being good predictors, right? If we all get 0 and argue about who wins with half a point, then it's gratifying for us, but we look like a bunch of Muppets all together. So
our crystal ball is basically made of recycled Muppets. It's not good.
And the tagline for the show is found. So,
all right.
2 points. That might be an all-time high for you, Mr. Bacon.
I think it might be. I think a point would be an all-time high for me.
I was going to say we're in the positives, which is a start.
It's a good start. All right. So
moving on.
How about
Mr. Langridge?
How about I'll go through Mr. Langridge's
go for it.
predictions here. All right. So the first one was a CEO will be fired this year for a data breach.
So
no.
I would like to jump in here for 1 second. While researching this very briefly, I found an article from CISO Magazine, so a magazine aimed at C-level security execs, titled "Data Breaches Often Result in CEO Firing," that was dated early 2016.
Yeah.
And in that article is a quote from Sony, which in February 12th of 2015, the Huffington Post reported that Amy Pascal, former CEO of Sony, openly admitted that she was fired as a direct result of the December 2014 data breach. So congratulations for predicting something that verifiably happened in 2014.
5 years previously, yes. What I was thinking was, I mean, I managed to dig up a bunch of examples of this happening, but they're all piddly shit, right? The point was that it would be something which made everyone stand up and take notice, and it certainly didn't any more than, I mean, Equifax, Experian, Sony all lost CEOs after large data breaches in ways where you can at least point the finger and say you were fired because of that, and that all happened before this year. So certainly the spirit of the prediction was not obeyed.
My gut feeling here is that the spirit of the prediction was that it will be a relatively recent data breach.
Yes.
I think you get half a point for this because someone did get fired, but
every year for the last 7 years.
This is the thing. Like, it was supposed to change things a bit. I was hoping that people would start saying, "Wow, the CEO gets fired," more so than had happened with people like Equifax, which happened before this year. So, I mean, if you want to give me half a point, I'll take it, but I don't think I'm going to get it past Jezza. So,
I think half a point. I think the spirit of it is correct, but it's not as full as we would have expected. I'm not good at arguing this.
well,
do you agree, Jeremy?
No, I do not. But over
what do you want to do?
I will squabble not.
Well, we're going to have exactly the same argument about the next one. So,
but Jeremy, do you believe he should get no point?
I just don't know. Given that in 2014, a very high-profile CEO openly admitted that they were fired as a direct result of the data breach, I don't know what predicting that in 2019 means. But he's also going to get mercilessly bollocked for the next one, so I don't want to be too. I don't want to put too much on this one.
All right. We'll give him half a point because I'm a real friend.
You are,
Mr. Langridge, as opposed to
he is a real half-point friend. Jonathan, he's half-point friend.
I'm good. That's going to be my tagline. Put that on LinkedIn. All right, so let's go on to number 2. The second one was that the world will finally embrace USB-C. Now, before Jeremy jumps in and attacks you...
I want to jump in before even you get the chance, right? Because Jezza's argument, I'm prepared to bet a pound on it right now, will be they already had embraced USB-C, and this is a prediction that had already happened. And we had that argument a year ago.
Right.
I bollocked you then, and I'm prepared to do the same now.
Right, I'll just sit back and take it now. 2 of you discuss amongst yourselves whether I deserve 1 or 2 points for this.
Let me dig in here and give you my rationale why I think, A, I'm a great friend, and B, you should get the point. Because I don't know who shit in Jeremy's cornflakes this today, but... So this is the reason why. For me, it's entirely observational. I'm finding that like more and more computers are coming with USB-C. Like, I mean, obviously the Macs are a good example of this, where they just come with USB-C. But more importantly,
not 2019.
But Mac. I believe that Apple has made Macs this year. So the real reason why I think this is the case is because the vast majority of devices, and I'm a bit of a gadget freak. I tend to buy silly devices here and there. The vast majority of them now come with USB-C, and they used to, because I think it was cheaper, come with mini USB, micro USB, and they come with USB-C.
I don't think there's been any tide shift whatsoever in 2019. I think all flagship phones in 2018 came with USB-C. All of them do in 2019.
But it doesn't
all less expensive
say
gadgets.
Flagship.
Like I just bought a 3D camera, brand new, something that is pretty high-end-ish, micro USB.
Well,
so I think
really?
the things that didn't still don't. I don't think there was
any
meaningful change in percentage.
I disagree.
How is your Vizio camera?
I disagree with you entirely. I am
Ricoh,
now,
which I didn't know still made products.
What, RICOH?
Yeah,
they went bust like 10 years ago, didn't they?
No, I assure you, this device in my hand was made by them.
I thought they made CD burning software.
I could say, yeah, Nero burning ROM. No, I feel like a year ago, so my phone is micro USB, right? And I never had a problem if I was somewhere else random charging it in a bar or at someone's house or whatever. And this year I have very definitely found myself being in places and saying, "Have you got a cable?" And they'll go, "Yeah." And I say, "Oh no, that's a USB-C cable. I don't do USB-C." Right, and that has changed. It says the world for a reason. Yes, high-end phones and so on absolutely had adopted it before 2019. But that's for people like us. And if I show up at either of your houses and go, "Can I charge my phone?" You're not gonna go, "I've only got one USB cable and here it is." You'll go, "Which of my 50 USB cables do you want to borrow?"
Fair.
Right?
Yeah.
But normal people, like both my parents, now have phones which charge off USB-C. Right, they didn't this time last year, and now they do.
I still think it was a bizarre prediction. I'm willing to go
only
half point as a concession with the caveat that your next predictions for 2020 can't include phonographs or telegrams or anything that's demonstrably already happened. Okay. We'll go half point.
I will concede, given that I gave two predictions which arguably had already happened and then expected to get points for them. I will attempt not to do the same for next year.
See, here's the thing.
But that gets you to one full point, so 3 points halfway in probably is the best we've done in a couple of years here.
Yeah, well, the thing is, as well as, look, I disagree with Jeremy on this one. I think Jeremy is overly critical of your predictions here. But given the fact that I think you should get the point, Jeremy doesn't think you should get the point, let's compromise at half a point.
Okay.
Right. So the next one is the first high-profile deepfake video, which is not porn, politics, or celebrity somehow, will happen, and it will mislead people. Now, I don't think you got this. I haven't seen this happen.
I'm a little surprised you didn't, but in the research I did, I can't find it. But that begs the question, was it so good that we don't know?
Now, if I'd got no points up to this point, I was gearing up to make that argument to grovel for half a point. But since I've got a point so far already...
Wait, was your argument legitimately going to be, I'm sure there was one
but
hasn't been found out, I want a half point?
It was. That was literally going to be my argument.
I would not have been prepared to take that argument.
I'm quite pleased, assuming that it hasn't happened and we don't know, which I don't think it has, but if for no other reason than I sound like the people who deny the moon landings when I say things like that. But 52% of people believe that there's a guardian angel watching over them. But
right.
This, as far as I'm aware, this hasn't happened, and I have looked for this. I went around and did, and there have been a couple of examples of people doing things and then people believing that they were real when they weren't, but they weren't intentionally created to deceive. It was more like the Orson Welles War of the Worlds thing, where people heard it on the radio and thought it was an alien invasion. But he wasn't trying to make people think there was an alien invasion, you know?
I think for me, this is the one I'm most surprised didn't happen.
Yeah. I suspect it's coming, especially since we've seen, without wishing to go all political about it, the rise of people telling outright lies to the press.
I have no idea what you could be possibly referring to.
Right? But so far, and we've seen things which, to me, feel in a similar kind of class of thing to this, doing something deliberately with the intention of deceiving, but no one's actually done it as a deepfake video yet.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I was going to say, I think the key spirit of your prediction here was around the misleading element.
Yes, definitely.
And people believe in it, because you could argue that there are things like, for example, the Carrie Fisher thing in the Star Wars movie where, she's not in it, but it's essentially kind of like a deep fake. But everyone knew that. So
I
think we're all on the same page there.
That was a different thing.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, it was there was no misleading element to it.
No one has yet, as far as I'm aware, put out a video at a political opponent or about a celebrity with the intention that people would believe it was real when it was faked, as far as I'm aware.
And that's refreshing, because I think there was so much fear around this when we first talked about deepfakes, that it's nice to know that hasn't happened yet. So it might happen in 2020.
Okay, I mean, it is depressing that we now consider it good news that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying it's good news. I'm just saying it's nice that it hasn't happened, in the same way that, it's nice that there hasn't been a school shooting this week in America.
I mean, I'm not having a pop at you in the slightest. It's just, this is how low our ceiling of ambition has had to get this year, that the fact that this hasn't happened is a positive. God.
No, I'm not saying it's a positive.
That is a little discouraging.
Let's move on.
Next
so next one, final prediction.
Now comes the argument, and this is my own fault for not making specific testable predictions. But
so far, to recap, you have got 1 point, which is comprised of 2 half points.
Yes.
So the next one, the world will not care at all about foldable phones. Now, I did a little bit of digging into this, and I found that there are lots of manufacturers, Samsung, LG, Huawei, Motorola, many have not released yet.
There are lots of manufacturers
phones.
Talking a big game about it. As far as I'm aware, there are basically 2 available. The Samsung Galaxy Fold, which was available or was just about to be available when we made the predictions a year ago, and the Huawei Mate X, which is either just out or just about to be out. And that's it. There aren't the others on the market. I think that's the world not caring.
There are a few
brought
extras.
the Razr back. I will say when I was in Japan...
It's not out yet. The Motorola Razr is a bunch of concept photos. Yeah, you can't buy it.
No, but next month I think it's for sale. I will say when I was in Japan, there were the Huawei Mate X and the Samsung Fold were everywhere. Billboards, giant store installation set up just with them.
Hang on, when you say everywhere,
really?
do you mean them advertising everywhere? Do you mean people actually using them?
I mean, I wasn't checking people's phones, but I mean,
No, but
people. I asked the guy at the one Samsung store. They had this giant fold display set up where you could go use one and do whatever. And I said, "How have these been selling?" And he said, "We can't keep them in stock right now. I can't even sell you one. Only the display ones."
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I
true
don't
story.
believe him. He's obviously biased. But I like observationally, when you've been just wandering around the streets of Japan.
I mean, I noticed a couple on the subway and stuff, but I think it's.
But would you say many?
No,
would you say
I would say that violates the thing. If you're seeing people
I will say,
use
having
them
held
in
one
public,
now, I am surprised how nice it was, and if it was not such a big phone, I would personally be interested.
bloody traitor.
What?
But
I know.
You are kidding me.
I'm mildly surprised at myself. I'm going to be honest. Holding it, they're quite nice.
dude, you're the worst. But
Why? Hang on. Why don't you like him, Langridge? What's your objection
why do you
against the foldable
think
phone?
I don't like a phone the size of an A4 piece of paper?
So that's why I'm curious what the Razr will be like, because it flips the other way and it's a much smaller
does.
designed phone. The Fold is just too large of a phone for me personally.
Yeah, the Razr's really good for banana photography enthusiasts. Anyway, so I think we'd probably all agree that
I wouldn't take any pictures of a
care.
banana. It'll cost you $120,000.
That
Now,
is
the problem here is
such a
that-
bizarre story.
we don't really, and there's no real sales data on this.
No.
So we have to
Well,
take a
we'll
bit
get
of
to
a.
that in my last prediction.
Yeah, I mean, but there's no sales data because, well, as far as I was aware, they basically aren't any out yet. I mean, as I say, there's a lot of people talking about them and they're bringing models out soon. But if you want to walk into a shop and buy one now, you've got the Fold and the Huawei one, and that's it. Now, I
think the LG one's also shipping.
I don't think, I might be wrong, but I don't believe it is. I don't believe it was at the back end of October. Anyway, it
No,
might
it
have
definitely
been
wasn't.
since.
I think it was late November.
Right, okay, yeah. So it's been out for 11 days. Right, okay.
I think the spirit of this is that the phones will be out and people wouldn't care about them. So I'm not sure if you should get the point because
Yeah.
they're not really out. I mean, yeah.
Well,
I don't
but
want to be the.
if-
I don't want to turn to Jeremy, but I don't think you get a point. In this.
No, I'm with you. I mean, Jeremy's admittedly anecdata, but nonetheless data about seeing actual people on actual streets with them. I mean, if you just saw a few people on the street, then they've got to be out there selling. It's not like you saw the only 4 people in Japan who bought one or anything.
No, right. Although this
These
is-
people
I'm-
you saw,
I'm
you didn't see
curious,
them like at the stand.
Listeners out there, if you have a Fold or any foldable phone, let us know in the forum. I'm curious, A, what you think of it, and B, what went into you purchasing it.
I wonder, are there more people currently in the world using flip phones than there are foldable phones?
Yeah, flip phones are coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
I see flip
Well,
phones
there's just
all the time.
a lot of old people are still using flip phones.
Yeah, well, when the Razr comes out, maybe I'll consider it. Because I liked the Razr the first time around. Apart from its ZX81 keyboard. It was cool.
I like the Razr.
So maybe we should be generous and give him 1/10 of a point for this.
Okay.
All right, so you get one
and
and 1/10 of a point.
One
We're
and
now
1/10
shilling
point.
over tenths of points.
I get 1 and 10 basis points. Right, so...
All right, so Langridge, do you want to go through Jeremy's?
I do. Any economists who just heard me misuse the phrase basis points egregiously, don't write to us.
I was going to say, I'm going to write in.
Jeremy's predictions. The US will pass at least one major nationwide piece of privacy legislation akin to the GDPR or similar. as far as I can tell, this flat out hasn't happened.
So
No,
I
it's
thought
not.
there would be some follow-up to the CCPA, and it turns out there was some follow-up to it. And it was just major amendments to the CCPA, which for those of you who aren't aware
explain
that
what that
it's
is.
California passed the Privacy Act that's
Yeah.
somewhat similar in some ways to the GDPR. But in spite of both the House and the Senate holding hearings and privacy legislation coming up in there, increased, call for transparency about how data is collected and how it's shared, and even stiffening actual penalties being doled out for data handling violations, the U.S. did, in fact, not make this happen. And oddly, the one sticking point seems to be whether or not the federal law would preempt the existing state laws. So it's the CCPA may have actually prevented it in a way, but no, did not happen.
Yeah.
Disappointingly, did not happen.
No, I mean, would have been good, but you were pretty specific. I mean, the California thing is out there, but it doesn't seem to have sparked off any other state privacy laws either, does it? Or has it? And I've missed
A couple of minor discussions, but no, nothing like New York
Yeah.
or Texas or any of the larger states have.
Yeah,
not done
so
anything.
when they say we shouldn't have federal law because it'll preempt the state's laws, what they mean is the California one, which is already there,
Yes.
and no one else has done it anyway. It's just, yeah. I mean, it
To
would
be
have
honest
been
with
nice
you,
to see
I'm
this.
surprised. I'm surprised that anything got done this year with a complete shit show as the political system in the US right now.
So I think that is it's probably part of it.
Anyway,
I suspect
the less said about that, the better.
utter partisan deadlock doesn't help with getting laws passed, but
It doesn't.
but yeah,
All right, so
no
no
points for that one, I
points.
think. Now, the
Yep.
next one, we may end up in an argument about this. The US goes into a recession by someone's definition. So we talked about different definitions about the standard one is 2 consecutive quarters of decline, or the NBER have got one about a general decline in the, because I looked this up, general decline in the price of things and so on. As far as I can tell, there haven't been 2 consecutive quarters of decline in gross domestic product, and the NBER have not declared there to be a recession.
I
But this is
suspect
where
we-
Jezza goes, and
No,
whips
I
something
expect
out.
we will not get in an argument here. Despite an inverted yield curve, an ongoing trade war,
twice.
massive global just nonsense, we are not in a anything that even resembles a recession. And to be honest, I am stunned. The interesting thing for me here is the odds of one in 2020 are actually going down.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know what to do with, given where we are in so many metrics and so many.
Well,
like I said, I'm
isn't
stunned.
I mean,
almost speechless,
I
as you can tell.
I don't want to get into anything to do with politics. I
That's
don't think
the
any
third
of us
time
want
you've said
to.
that in the last 8 minutes, so I don't know if I believe you anymore.
Yeah. No, it's not. You lying shit. But as far as I'm aware, despite Trump's many problems, the economy is actually doing quite well right now, isn't it?
It's certainly the graphs I looked at to see whether there have been 2 consecutive quarters of declines show that GDP is going up every quarter.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
Right.
lot of
That
worrying
was
trends.
the-
Like I said, the inverted yield curve, the whole thing that happened with repos last month. But the current job numbers look good. There's been a surprising
Yeah.
driver of resilience, and the VIX is low. It's
The inverted
surprised
yield
all the way
curve
around.
stuff, which, to be clear, I don't understand at all. But I read a couple of articles suggesting that when there is an inverted yield curve, wherever that is, I don't know if it comes down from space or something, that there's a recession after it.
correct.
Always,
Explain what that is, Jeremy.
Apart from one time in 1965, I think. So basically, everyone's gone, when we get an inverted yield curve, then we get a recession immediately afterwards, apart from one time. Now we've got an inverted yield curve, therefore there'll be a recession. But I don't know whether this is going to be, in the future, people saying,
So it is
we
a-
always get a
it is a
recession
leading indicator, not a
except
trailing
for
indicator.
that time in 2019, or whether this is different or what, because I don't really understand what the curve is. So, Jeremy,
Yeah, explain what it
it's
is,
actually
Jeremy.
simpler than it's nothing space related. It's just when long-term debt have lower yields than short-term debt. So it's usually the opposite of that. Usually, a long-term debt would always have higher yields because you're giving your money for a longer period of time, so you expect more return.
Right.
So short-term yields now are actually higher than long-term yields. So that's what an inverted yield curve is.
okay. I don't know why a couple of the articles didn't explain that rather than show me a bunch of graphs about, regression to the mean and what have you. I understood that explanation. Why aren't you an economist?
Excellent. But yeah, no, two resounding whiffs, I would say.
Well, so here's a chance to redeem yourself, and I'm not sure. So, argument number 3. Foldable phones will outsell true 5G phones, despite the latter getting much more hype. So
like I said,
Jeremy,
the Samsung's
defend
out,
your...
The Huawei's out, the Samsung's out. Everyone's looking forward to the Razr. And by that, I mean you, me, and potentially you. The fact that they even brought back the Razr branding, I think, is interesting. But
hang on. So your argument is going to be...
So to be fair, I could not find anything that even remotely resembles actual sales numbers. But for 5G, T-Mobile just launched it, like right before.
I was going to say 5G is
AT&T claims that they'll go live next week, and Verizon is up to around 18 cities. But availability in those cities is hilarious, down to the fact that when I was in the city, New York City, a little while ago, it's like if you're in Midtown, Fitty, and Hell's Kitchen, you get 5G. Anywhere else, no. So even in a city like New York, it's that spotty where they're going by neighborhoods. So I would say that even if you have a true 5G phone, of which there aren't many, your odds of that you're actually getting 5G are so low that there's more people rolling around with foldables than with 5G.
I anticipated a no true Scotsman argument here, and that's precisely what we've got. I'm certainly prepared to buy that there are more people with foldable phones than people who are using 5G on their 5G phones, but I don't know whether that means there's more people who've got a 5G phone, even if it only does 4G, unless they're touching the cell
And new
tower.
flagship phones are shipping that don't
this
have 5G, which is also surprising. Like the
there's a
Pixel
reason
4
why
has 5G.
There's a very simple reason why Jeremy doesn't get the point. We don't have any sales data. We don't know. We're just guessing. So and he was very clear. Outsells. Like if he was like popularity is a separate question.
Hang on. I would have said that until we had the Japan discussion, because I thought this argument was going to be in between the 9 people who bought a foldable phone and the 11 people who bought a 5G phone, and therefore we wouldn't know. But if there's loads of people walking around with foldable phones in Japan...
Hang on. Jeremy didn't say that. He said he saw a few people carrying foldable phones. He said he talked to a person who sells foldable phones, said that they're really popular.
Do you know anyone?
Jeremy going... make broad, sweeping, non-verifiable claims that happened in 2015, and you'll get...
Hang on a second. If I was making this argument...
Rush me to the hospital.
If I was making the argument that one thing will outsell the other and there was no sales data, Jeremy would be murdering me with facts right now.
He would be apoplectic.
So, this is what happens, right? I'm now going to take a shit in your cornflakes, okay? Sugar puffs. But... you
with no data,
I
I cannot definitively say. I would be shocked if foldable phones did not.
It's not only that you cannot definitively say it, you can't even get fucking close to saying it. I went to Japan and saw a few people holding a foldable phone.
Serious question. Now, I appreciate, unless you're a Cyberman, you can't actually look at a phone and know whether it does 5G or not. But do you even know anyone with a 5G phone?
No.
Because if I had a 5G phone, I'd spend all day and all night bitching about the fact that I didn't actually have 5G coverage for it.
Hang on, does the Pixel 4 do 5G?
It does not.
Then no. Because Alarm bought a Pixel 4.
I'm trying to think if there's a pop, because it's like the Huawei X, which is also foldable, I think was the first 5G phone as well. Does the OnePlus 7 do 5G?
I don't believe so. But we'll have to check.
I think Jeremy just typed in "help" into Google and is hoping that
help! I'm losing.
I mean, this seems like it's at least worth a half, given the things we're throwing out hats for. But
no, it's not even. No, there's no date. You going to Japan and seeing a few people wandering around with a foldable phone does not count.
You've not seen anyone walking around at all with a 5G phone. We don't even know anyone. This is not seen them with your own eyes.
But that's my point. My point is, you can't say you can't, Jono, your point doesn't count because you don't know anyone with 5G phones. The point I'm making is that we don't know any of this stuff. Therefore, no point.
Whereas the thing I'm suggesting for half a point, I could maybe be bargained down to a quarter here.
We might have to go to a quarter of a point.
Is that, right? I appreciate there's no actual sales data, so we're relying on anecdotes here. We have anecdotes about foldable phones. We have no anecdotes at all about 5G, which suggests there are more foldable phones than 5G phones.
I'm a little surprised one of us doesn't know someone with a 5G phone, to be honest.
Well, when is
I'll
it going to
take
come
my
up in
quarter point.
conversation? Someone's going to go and buy. I honestly couldn't tell you if my phone did 5G. I just don't care. What I care is that the phone connects to the phone network. How that does it, it could be 19G for all I care. If it starts downloading sausages, I'm going to have a problem with it. But the fact that I don't particularly care. Now,
Well,
what I do know,
I hope you enjoy
what I do know
your
is that
GPRS data connection then.
What I do know is that Verizon have launched their 5G network in the US, and they have a lot of people who use it. So if and almost certainly they've sold people phones via their, because what they do is they say, buy 2 phones when you sign up, and buy 1 phone, you'll get a free phone when you sign up to Verizon. So the fact that they've got 5G out there, they've probably sold a shitload of 5G phones, as opposed to Jeremy's 3 people walking around Tokyo with foldable phones. And our reliable source of data, the dude in the Samsung store.
Well,
so point for you.
That is actually quite a good argument, but I find it slightly suspect you are simultaneously arguing that he loses because there are no foldable phones and there are no 5G phones, and also there are loads of 5G phones more than foldable.
No, I didn't say that. What I'm saying is we don't have any data. That's the reason why we can't say this. What I do know is that Jeremy's "I saw a few people with a foldable phone in Tokyo" is less credible than Verizon launching a 5G network in the US.
I will concede
and
it's
as part
not
of
my
their,
finest argument.
Their consistent strategy with Verizon is we give people phones to get them to sign up. And you know what you need to connect to a 5G network? A fucking 5G phone. That's what you need.
No, you don't. Also, Verizon, T-Mobile, and was it Sprint or AT&T just got sued by the FCC for making up their map. So I'm not too inclined to believe them.
Well, the thing is, it might be 4G++. Anyway,
this is like. Do you remember? What were they called? HD compatible televisions. Rather than when HD first came out, and you're supposed to get an HD ready telly, but they were really expensive. So people started selling HD compatible, which means we downsample it to 720p or whatever.
yeah, kind of like
I will bask
Google
in my
Stadia's.
quarter point glory here. Let's.
I don't know. I don't think you.
I'm inclined to give him a quarter of a point because, having looked ahead, it's not going to make any difference.
No, it's not.
And it encourages people to make more testable predictions. Now, this one, in Jeremy's defence, is not his fault. I assumed there'd be sales data. The reason we don't have any sales data is there haven't been any frigging sales. But
hang on a second. When I get a prediction wrong, it is my fault, okay? This has happened consistently since we've been doing this ridiculous parlor game, okay? And it's consistently my fault. It is his fault. He got the prediction wrong. And not only did he get the prediction wrong, but he drags us over the coals when we get our predictions wrong by using all of his nonsense data, okay?
So you see, but if you'd have thought to say, last time I was in Tokyo, I saw a bloke playing a streaming game on Netflix, maybe you'd have got a quarter of a point for it.
Yeah, I saw it inside of the Netflix office. All right.
Let's go on to Jeremy. He's no longer Facebook CEO on Sundays, so I get the point. No, didn't think of it.
Now, you see, I would make that kind of argument, and that would be a reasonable discussion to have by reasonable people. But no, Jeremy's getting a taste of his own medicine.
Looking at our predictions, why did you make 6 and I made 4? Of course you're going to get you made 50% more predictions.
Hey, you did. I hadn't thought of that. You made more predictions than us. That's not very fair. So I reckon
6.
I reckon we should penalise him. Should we penalise him 1 point for that?
No, you don't get to do that because
what do you think,
happened
Jeremy?
was you could have done this when we set the predictions. This is the record of what we talked about. Okay, let's go into Jeremy's final prediction and we can argue about the results.
I like the immediate.
Spoken like a man worried about losing the argument. Final prediction: Sheryl Sandberg steps down from Facebook to become the CEO of Disney. Did this happen, Jeremy?
It absolutely, unequivocally did not happen. He talked to somebody in a lift
at the pub who heard.
So what's surprising about this is given how she projects her brand as a person and the general perception, I think, of where Facebook is. I'm honestly shocked that she didn't step down. I think it would have been great. The Disney would have been a good landing spot. I think they're hungry for someone tech heavy, so it would have been a good fit. I don't even have a retort here. Just no.
No.
I'm surprised also that she's still at Facebook, but Disney was a reach.
A little bit.
I wonder, because the discussion we had last time was a lot about her personal brand and how she was looking to move forward and all that kind of thing. But I wonder whether it's just a little bit early. She spent another year. What's it called? Is it a building year when you spend a bunch of time getting in new players and training them and what have you, and don't really intend to win anything?
Rebuilding.
Rebuilding, yeah. So I wonder if she said, okay, I don't want to push this year. This is going to be another year of continuing to build my personal brand and what have you, and then next year is going to be. This is all to say, if you wanted to put that prediction in again next year, think you'd be in with a chance.
Yeah, but, I mean, she's been at Facebook for, 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but had you heard of her 4 years ago? I hadn't. Maybe. Oh, you had. Okay, never mind.
Well, I think I'd maybe, but that's not the prediction. If the prediction was, will Jono have heard of Sheryl Sandberg?
Right,
Which you might want to consider.
Will Jono have heard of
Sheryl
Sandberg 4 years ago? Sounds like a Stuart prediction.
It does sound like a Stuart prediction.
Summing up, then, Jeremy has somewhere some indeterminate quantum amount in between 0 and 0.25 points.
Yeah, not a stellar showing.
Jono, having lost a point for making too many predictions, has won, and I have 1 1/10. So I win.
Hang on. Come on. You can't just... You cannot just take a point away from me. No, that doesn't fly, because when we set the predictions, right, I picked those predictions. You could have made that point last time, okay? I took on more risk. I took on a lot more risk.
Not how that works, since you don't lose points for getting them wrong. If you make more predictions, more chances to get points.
No, you see what you don't lose. But you know what, Jeremy? Here's the thing. You're only looking at this typically from an economic perspective. It's not just about the dollar, the mad dollar, the dead presidents. It's about reputation.
Shut up.
It's about relationships.
Risk.
Jonathan
if
Edward James
voltage,
Bacon 2020. Is this where we're going with this?
if bad voltage predictions and getting them wrong led to reputational risk, all three of us are working McDonald's now, right? We wouldn't be allowed anywhere near the tech community at all. They'd say,
that's not
you
fair.
people can't touch a computer ever again.
I
That's
for one,
not
welcome
fair.
my
That is
hamburger overlord.
That is frankly an absolutely awful thing to say about people who work at McDonald's.
Win to Stewart with 1.1 points.
No, he doesn't win. I don't get a point taken away. No, I win 2 points, okay? You can't... Look, when we do these predictions, you two elitists always give me grief with how bad I am at predictions.
I think the person who lives in California just called us coastal elitists.
I know. I don't even live on the coast.
I didn't call you a coastal elitist. I called you an elitist, which includes the coast. Okay? My point is this. I've had 3 years of Facebook Spaces predictions, okay? I've put my neck on the line for this game, okay? I get my 2 points. I win. That's the way it is, okay? Don't take this away from me. I don't get many victories, and they're all petty.
Okay. I suppose we have to declare it a fatal blow for the show's credibility that the best predictor on it is Jono. So,
or because clearly I'm out of this with my 1/4 point. Do we allow the bad voltage community to decide via a poll?
No, because the last time we did this, it didn't go very well.
Does Jono's 2 points making 2 extra predictions count as a win?
Honestly,
or does the 1/10 of a point conceded to Langridge push him over the edge?
While I would like to win, I have learned my lesson about calling for referenda on such things, and I don't want to do it again.
So what we'll do is we'll have a referendum, and then we'll bicker about the results for the next 4 years.
Right? I no longer care what the public think. I'm prepared to have Jono win.
Oh, that is actually spoken like an elitist.
You had your chance. You screwed it up. All right. So, yeah, there we go. That is our predictions. So,
yes, and we will have new predictions in the new year. We should say that
we will.
Recording this, we came up to Christmas. The next show will come out in theory on Christmas Day or something. So we're not doing the next show, to be clear, because we've all got families and what have you. So we're skipping a show, and then we'll be back in the new year with with our predictions for 2020.
Now, can I make a few requests for when we make the predictions the next time round? One,
Sure.
We all make the same number.
we all
It's a
make
good
the same
starting
number.
point. Good starting point.
Two,
Okay, two.
no Facebook
No-
Spaces.
Facebook Spaces predictions. Okay. 3, no predictions that are about sales data, because this happens every time. We always have a row about sales data, that it's not available. Okay? No sales data predictions, which is going to screw Jeremy, because his predictions are always
Maybe.
based on sales data.
We'll go maybe on that one.
The reason we do it is because of my rule that the predictions are meant to be testable. The idea is
Right.
that we don't just argue about whether it happened. We have hard data on it.
No, but we always do that.
We
We
do.
always argue about it. In fact, this show, good example of that.
Maybe this is the point where I just give up and go, fine, just go, this will become more popular, and then just spend half an hour justifying it a year from now.
I'm just going to start a hashtag. All right, so we will be back. So thank you for listening to our predictions. Go and let us know what you think on the forum about all of them. Which ones you agree with, which ones you disagree with. I'd also love to see, in preparation for us setting our predictions, what are your predictions for
Yeah.
2020? So go and share them, and because we may steal some of them, because you people are frankly much smarter than we are. Well, that's it. We have a show.
We do.
Not just a show, but it's the end of the year show. So whatever, if you folks who are listening to this, if you listen to all of that, then first of all, you might want to go and explore other podcasts, because if you listen to that intentionally in your spare time, then you might have better things to do. But thank you for listening, not just to this show, but thank you for listening for the year. And for some of you, thank you for listening for the whole year, or longer than a year, rather. We really appreciate the fact that a lot of people check out Bad Voltage and have done for a number of years.
We do.
Speaking of celebrations, Jeremy, didn't you want to share something about Craigslist?
Yeah, so we were chatting about things that, maybe surprised us over the year, just things that happened. And one, I don't know if everyone still uses Craigslist around, but founded 24 full years ago, they launched their first official app just a couple weeks ago.
Is it for the Nokia N900?
Yes, it is. And the original only Motorola Razr.
I am actually, honestly, faintly disappointed in this. Because, I've been saying for years...
You like their Web 1.0 UX?
The web's good. Well, the point is they haven't changed the UX in the app. The app, as far as I can tell, is exactly the same as the website is. It still just, Times New Roman on a background kind of vibe. Like, it's not like they went, let's get proper designers in or anything. And that's fine. If what you want to do is, bear in mind that Craigslist, to a first approximation, doesn't exist in the UK. Nobody uses it, right? There are some people who occasionally, but
do you have
to
a
first
single
approximation-
Craigslist replacement company, or it's just a bunch of different random?
There isn't anything really like it at all. So my experience of Craigslist is seeing people advertise for other cannibals or whatever, stuff that shows up where someone's taking a picture on Twitter. So I'm assuming people just sell mattresses and stuff on it, right? Or find dog walkers or whatever. But my experience of it is all the weird stuff.
I honestly haven't thought about Craigslist in forever. Like, do people really use it anymore?
They must.
Do we have any sales data on this?
I download their app and check it out.
I thought people in the US used it all the time.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to download their app and check it out. Like, I tend to have... this might be biased. I tend to think of Craigslist as kind of like eBay, but where the people who buy your things are serial killers. I'm always very suspicious of using Craigslist. Like, Eric is like, let's sell something on Craigslist. Like, no, let's not. Let's either burn it or sell it on eBay.
Between that comment and your listen to other podcasts, you really, really should be in marketing.
Was the television thing Craigslist? There was a thing,
television thing
2 or 3 years ago, right, where someone put an advert somewhere online, and I think maybe it was Craigslist. It's in the UK, so some people do obviously use it. Put an advert saying they had 2 televisions, which they were going to give away to the first caller. Who, he's like, we've got these 2 tellies, we're moving out, we need to get rid of them. And then, presumably by accident, put my phone number in instead of theirs. And I
yours?
thought,
Like your specific
my
phone number?
actual. So they put in, presumably they just typoed their own number or something.
Yeah, like a digit, right?
And my phone turned into NORAD. I've never seen anything like it. I got like 1 million phone calls, and then I had to turn my phone off because at first, I start getting messages saying, "Hey, do you want the tellies?" And I'm like, what the hell is this? An hour or so later, I'd had, I think, 300 messages or something. And I'm sitting there going, what's going on?
You know what that reminds me of?
Hilarious.
Do you remember, like 2015 or whatever it was, when the BQ Ubuntu phone came out? And
we sat in the pub. Yes.
Yeah. So the BQ Ubuntu phone came out, and they had a
launch event,
like a release party in London, and we all got a phone. I'd just left Canonical at this time. We all got a phone,
Yep.
and it came with like a £10 SIM card. And I put the phone number on the internet and asked people to text it.
Yeah.
And we sat in the pub. It was hilarious.
it was brilliant. It was a brilliant evening.
And that phone,
we sitting there with our phones.
So, on a related note, the new Craigslist app available for that phone.
Well, my BQE 4.5 is currently in Ireland as my mum and dad's spare phone when they go out there. Still perfectly fine for making phone calls and sending texts, which is all they want it for.
I didn't know it ever made phone
Right.
calls.
Yeah, it did right away. It's not a purism phone; it was a real proper phone. So,
Boom. You don't
Lot
want
of
to annoy that
vitriol
crowd.
today.
Did you see though recently the Ubuntu, because the Ubuntu Touch project is still like there's a lot of development
yeah,
going into not from Canonical.
Ubports. They're doing a bunch of stuff. Mario Scripps Garden,
No, I didn't see
Dalton, and that crowd. Yeah,
Yeah.
They're going great
that?
guns.
Yeah, it actually looks really cool. They did. What was that update that they published last week or this week? Or whatever? Did you
Ubuntu
see
Pro.
that? We're not getting into that.
Not Ubuntu Pro. Something entirely different.
That look on your face was the only time I ever wished this was a video podcast.
I'm sure Ubuntu Pro is great for the sort of people who want that sort of thing, which is not me. So, yeah, no, the Ubports people are doing cool stuff. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, kudos to them. I can't. I wish I could remember what it was, but Popey retweeted. I think it was a video of something, and it was like I can't remember what it was, but they're just basically doing some really interesting work over there. I actually would love to see one of the like Ubuntu Touch devices in the flesh now to see how much it's changed, because it has changed quite a bit from what I can
I've not
tell,
seen
so.
one in so long I can't remember.
I have one in my drawer at the moment.
But and I'm assuming you can run it on there, right?
Yep.
Like the recent builds.
Well,
So-
I believe that I'm not sure they support the original one, the E4.5 anymore.
Right.
But I think they support newer devices. I'd have to check exactly.
I've got the Meizu in a drawer around it. I've got the Ubuntu Edge in a drawer around here somewhere.
You don't have an Ubuntu Edge. You have a plastic model of an Ubuntu Edge.
Yeah.
And
That's as close to an Ubuntu Edge as you're going to get.
Well, the reason I know this is because the plastic model cost like £100, and the first Ubuntu Edge cost $32 million, which is why there isn't one. But yes,
Yeah.
So yeah,
Excellent.
maybe sell your Ubuntu phone on Craigslist if you want to.
There you go.
No. I'm not going to do that. No. I'm going to have Sladen show up to play. That's a very obscure reference
That
for a lot of
is,
people
blimey,
listening to
there'll be a
this.
few people listening who will chuckle at that, right?
Yeah, Sladen is a character in the open source Linux community in the UK for many years, would ride around on a foldable bike, and I haven't seen him in years. Always loved hanging out with him, but I hear he's happy. I came up in conversation the other day with Matthew Garrett, actually. So
I haven't seen him in a long time, actually. Although I did see a picture of him quite recently.
yeah,
Looking
I
at
think it's probably the same
old
picture.
pictures of Ubuntu events and stuff like that, and there was Sladen digging around in a record bin in a record shop. Anyway, right.
Anyway,
This is
enough about this.
Old homemade. So-
thank you, everybody.
that was Bad Voltage. That was 2019. Glad to see the back of it, to be
Yep.
honest.
Have a
Right.
great holiday, great new year, and we will see you on the other side.